To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. Before I get into this video, I want to talk to you about this plate. As you know, we have a feral cat around here that I've been feeding. Really like that cat. Originally, I was putting the cat food that I was feeding her on the ground. Well, after our raccoon incident, where the raccoons were trying to get into the buckets and stealing the buckets of cat food, I decided to relocate the plate. And so I started putting it on the wood pile. I feed her in the morning, and that lasts her all day. I get up in the next morning, and sometime during the night, she has pushed the plate down onto the ground. I have always said, this is why the world is round, not flat. If the world was flat, the cat would push everything off the side of the earth. Last night, I came outside. I heard a noise, so I came outside, and I just figured it was the cat food. And it was a possum on top of the wood pile. Really didn't care that I was around. It moseyed off, real slow. And so I now know that the possum is what's pushing the cat food off to the side. I'm really glad finally that we have possums. I've been waiting for a possum to show up forever. Possums eat 95% of the ticks that they come across. They can eat up to 5,000 ticks a year, which is good because this place is infested with ticks. And ticks carry Lyme disease, which I think the worst thing that could have possibly happened just happened. So let me give you some background and history and tell you what we're doing and what I think we need to do to get this fixed. So as you may know, I have 1,000 watts of solar panels. I leave them on the ground like this for a few reasons. One, I think they stay cooler. I know a lot of people don't think so. I think they got to, stand them up and get them off the ground. But I think the ground actually keeps them cooler during the summer. I've done several tests on that and have identified that it runs a little cooler. But more importantly, I don't put them on a stand anymore. I had them on a stand, but it was just so heavy. So I broke them down to individual panels. And all I got to do now is just unplug them, and I can move them wherever the sun is within 25 feet of the camper. I don't want to have a very long piece of wire running from the camper to the solar panels because all the amps would heat up the wire and burn the wire up. So you got to keep it within tolerance. So I think between all the wires I have like a 8-gauge wire. But I have to move them because I have so much shading. The sun comes up this direction on the woods side and then comes down this direction on the wood side. I got to be able to move them around because right now you'll see they're shaded. It's the best location for them right now based on daytime, evening time. I get the maximum amount of sun here. And so then I charge 400 amp hour lead acid batteries, RV marine batteries, which are the same as golf cart batteries. People tell me I need golf cart batteries all the time, but you can use marine batteries. They're just as good. Now with lead acid batteries, you got to maintenance them. I know that if you had lithium ion batteries, you wouldn't have this problem, but lithium ion batteries have their own set of problems. One, they're really expensive. It can come up to $1,000 a piece. The second problem is I don't have a way to keep them from freezing. When I get into that tiny house, they're going to be exposed to very cold temperatures, and lead acid batteries can't be charged. They'll burn up if they're frozen. So I use lead acid, and they're cheap enough that you can replace them. I can get them to last 5 years, so that's half the life of a lithium ion battery. But the thing is, you got to maintenance them. And about once every 2 weeks, you'll start to see that they don't hold a charge quite as long. What happens is you'll charge them up and they get nice and strong, and then the next day they charge up almost to the new, and then the next day and so forth, and they just slowly start to deplete off. So every 2 weeks I used to run the generator and use a battery charger to charge the batteries. Well, my battery charger burned up, so I had to find a different way to do it. So what I do now is I simply unplug my entire camper from the solar panels. I don't use the inverter anymore. And when I do that, then the solar panels, along with a charge controller, charges the batteries up like new, just like the battery charger is. But if you keep them hooked up while they're charging, it doesn't do a very good job maintaining them. So today I'm gonna run my generator for a couple hours. That's all it takes. And I'll get my batteries like new, and they'll last for a couple weeks, and I just gotta do that every now and then. So that's a disadvantage to having lead acid batteries. But again, having lithium ion just isn't feasible. So the primary thing we run is our little mini fridge. a regular freezer, and fridge. Now, we leave it outside. So during the summertime, this thing runs a lot. But that's okay because in the summertime, we have sun all day long. So we don't have any problems charging the batteries. It runs it just fine. But during the winter, when the days are shorter and we have more cloudy days, this thing doesn't run as much because it's cooler temperatures. So it actually makes sense to leave it outside. Now, we can pack 30 days worth of food into this little freezer. As you see, we smash up our packages really small. And so we can stack it up really well. So we get 30 days of food in that. Plus we can get another few weeks of sausages and packaged meats. It's got an expiration date of like a month into the fridge. So we can get 45, 50 days worth of food in this little freezer. And so that came in pretty handy during the virus. We actually just went shopping right before they started shutting everything down. We didn't have to go anywhere. We were here a good, I would say 40 days. On the property. We didn't leave. And we had plenty of food. Never even came close to running out of food. Now, like I said, we do run the generator occasionally. Primarily, we run it for air conditioning. This is a little 2,000 watt inverter generator from Champion. It's much like the Honda. Much cheaper too. This thing ran like $500. We also run it to fill our water tank. We have a well, and so we can plug our well pump into this. It pumps the water from our 100-foot well into our IBC tank. If we have 10 gallons of gas, we have nearly unlimited amount of water. Now, the generator can run 11 hours on a gallon of gas. So, I mean, it takes maybe an hour to fill that up. So, yeah, it's 250 gallons. I fill it up about once a week. So the gas would probably go bad before I actually ran out of gas, if that's all I was using it for. And then, of course, the other thing I use gasoline for is to cut firewood. I guess I could use an electric chainsaw. Everybody says I need to get a battery operated chainsaw. I just don't see it as efficient. I've watched videos on this, and a gas chainsaw just is more efficient, lasts longer with a tank of gas, so it's just easier to run the chainsaw, and it doesn't use a lot of gas. I think for the 8 cords or 6 cords, whatever I got here, I haven't counted in a while, I think I've used 2 gallons of gas. So 1 cord should do us pretty good for a winter, and that'll get us, you know, even if we had an early winter and we had to use 2 cords, I got plenty of wood dried up and ready to go. And I always intend to have plenty of seasoned wood. Now, I know it's underneath the tarp right now, but we have an outdoor wood stove. I made a heat exchanger is what I did. And I'm really excited about using this. We've tested it for a week, early spring, and it worked great. But now we have seasoned wood, and I got this thing all sealed up with cement. It should just do an awesome job. And the heat will rise up into a piece of ventilation that I have hooked up to the camper. Again, it's underneath a tarp that will just feed heat right into the camper. Brings me to the point of the video today. I got a comment from a person who said that they weren't able to watch my videos for several days because of the forest fires going on in California. And my first inclination is, my goodness, that's just sad. The entire West Coast seems to be on fire right now. I keep thinking, what would I do if I was out there? And the answer is, I don't know. Really, what I have done is I've set up our off-grid lifestyle for Missouri. Cold winters, and the other bad thing that we have to worry about is tornadoes. If I can prevent, you know, significant damage or have a backup plan if I am damaged during a tornado, that's fine. But a lot of people say, oh, I'll never live in Missouri because of tornadoes. Okay, let's think about this. Right now, there's California fires, Oregon fires, Washington fires. In the West Coast, you got to deal with fires. Right now, there is hurricanes on the East Coast, just everywhere. Hurricanes hitting all kinds of places. Every year, hurricanes hit, and it's major damage. You know, when Missouri gets hit by a tornado, I'm not saying that Missouri is better than any place else, but when Missouri gets hit by a tornado, it's usually a town that gets hit, not an entire state. So every area has its own problems. Right now in the Midwest, we got record low temperatures. And when Colorado just had a blizzard, I mean a massive blizzard, and here it is September. We're barely even made out of summer. I don't even think we're in fall yet. Yeah, I think we're still in summer. And then we got civil unrest going on in every state nearly. And then we had the virus that shut us all down. And in some areas, things are still shut down. In California, they have mandatory power shutdowns or something like that, where they just shut down the grid. Well, I've never had that problem. I mean, the thing is, think about this. I'm on solar panels and I've always had plenty of electricity to do anything we need. And so I used to be a conspiracy theorist. You know, what's the worst thing that could ever happen? Well, the worst thing that ever could happen just happened. It's happening now. I am encouraging you that if you actually have any interest in the off-grid lifestyle, obviously you do or you wouldn't be watching this channel, that you start taking steps now, not to be a prepper, but to be off-grid, so you don't have to rely on other people to take care of you. Where if they do shut down the power, who cares? So I'm truly encouraging you to take action now, because I think things are only going to get worse this year. We still have the November election that we have to think about, and what's going to happen after that. So I hope I can inspire you to start aggressively looking at your off-grid lifestyle. Thanks for watching.